Hello everyone and welcome to 27. A couple of days ago I filmed a short segment on why the car industry is in so much trouble, and that's going to follow after this. But I wanted to add this bit first because today I just saw on the BBC that the UK government is set to follow EU legislation that will make speed limiters mandatory on all cars sold post 2022. The nanny state has been increasing day by day, but I never ever thought that I would see the day when we would actually be limited in our cars to the speeds that we wanted to do and not being allowed to make a rational choice by ourselves. Surely this is the final nail in the coffin for enthusiast drivers like us. What's the point of having a car like this when you're going to have mandatory speed limiters? You might as well get yourself something like that. Now I have to make it clear that the new system will work through GPS and through recognition through front-facing cameras on cars. So that means that when the GPS will work out where you are and will transmit that back to the car and the relevant speed limit, as well as the front-facing camera on the car finding speed limit signs, and will then read from those. It will allow for a temporary speeding up if you're, for example, overtaking a lorry on the motorway, but it's just another sign of how much trouble the car industry is in. The car industry in the way that we know it today. I'm now going to show the segment that I filmed a couple of days ago showing more issues that are a threat to our hobby and to our passion for these cars. Hello everyone and welcome to 27. Unfortunately today I don't have a great message for us car enthusiasts, and that is that the days of the personal car, as you see here, are pretty much numbered. Car manufacturers are struggling more than ever before with huge challenges. There's electrification, of course, but there's other things that are going to be more fundamental in challenging their long-term survival. The first are car sharing services like Uber. Secondly, there's the harmonization of the product. Thirdly, there's new generations. And fourthly, there's the automation of cars and driving. I'll look at each of those in turn and explain to you why that means that within about 15 years, the car as we know it today will no longer exist, and most of the manufacturers will have either restructured or have changed beyond recognition. We all love Uber, it's so convenient. After a night out, you don't have to go and just pay for a shell out for a hugely overpriced taxi. You can just get your phone out, press an app, and within a few minutes you have a car. It's clean, it's efficient, it's quick, and above all, it's cheap. And that neatly brings me on to my next point. When I was young, it was a rite of passage to own your own car. But nowadays, newer generations, the younger generations, well, if they're going out, they use public transport, they use Uber. Buying a car and using a car is just too expensive. Insurance is incredibly pricey. As a result, the newer generations, they're starting to lose interest in cars. There isn't that same passion that we had as kids. I don't think that posters on the walls are as numerous as they used to be when I was a little boy. Part of the reason why these newer generations are actually losing interest in cars is that they tend to look all the same. I'm actually now in front, funnily enough, of one car that is a bit different from most of the others. The 1 Series has always been a bit of an anomaly within hot hatches and hatches in general. But modern cars, they just look all the same. They're becoming the same. Legislation, crash legislation, and aerodynamics, so fuel efficiency standards, mean that manufacturers have less and less leeway in the way they produce cars. They're just becoming more and more harmonized and more the same. Therefore, much harder for newer generations to be passionate about them when there's not that much difference between each product. Lastly, automation. The modern cars that are coming out are more and more autonomous and able to drive themselves. This will eventually lead to literally go out, press your app, and a car without a driver, so like Uber without a driver, will just roll up, unpark itself from up the road, roll up, you'll get into it, you'll take it for a journey, and you'll pay some credits for that journey, but you will no longer need to own your own car. If you think about it, cars are incredibly wasteful. They spend most of their time sitting there doing nothing, and they are huge investments. So obviously it's going to make sense that car sharing is going to be the future. Whether that's through platforms like Uber, whether the manufacturers themselves will just create fully automated cars that we no longer own, but that we can just call on and everybody shares. You have a car on a street which comes to you within a few minutes. I'm not sure, but what I am sure at is that everybody owning their own car like we do now is something that is really numbered in its days. This is the death toll, the death knell. If you think about it,
if you think about it, we spend...
Surely this is going to be the death. Surely this is the final... Surely this is